Alright, so hello, my name is Isaiah Gorham, and I'm a junior science education major at East Carolina University.
My name is Taylor Parrish. I'm also a junior at East Carolina University, and I'm a middle grades education major. And today we're going to be talking to you about pre-service teachers' perspectives of working in rural schools within North Carolina.
So, rural schools in North Carolina face a difficult task with recruiting and retaining teachers. Every year, more and more teachers are leaving the public school system for private schools, charter schools, and even the education system altogether.
Technical difficulties.
Isaiah, I can be a clicker if you want. I'll come and click.
Okay.
Would you video?
It's working now.
Is it working?
Yes.
Okay. Oops, sorry. The video's going to be Susan. Okay.
Alright.
Okay, so 80% of counties in North Carolina are rural. That's a lot. As you can see, all the counties shaded in green are rural, and these places lack a diversity in housing, shopping, nightlife, or any kind of entertainment that would draw these younger teachers in.
So almost 600,000 students attend a school in a rural community. This is about 40% of the total student population in North Carolina. Some rural schools are forced to have substitutes fill in full-time to fill in those vacant teacher roles.
One problem that many teachers are facing are student food insecurities. They are finding it really hard to work with these students when they're hungry, because when these students are hungry, they're not able to focus, and it really affects their quality of learning.
Rural communities often lack an abundance of housing options. When I toured Warren County schools in North Carolina, I asked the superintendent, where does most of your teachers live? And he stated that most of his teachers live out of the county and even Virginia. And this is because Warren County does not have a single apartment complex in the whole county. So how can we motivate teachers to go to these rural communities when there's not a place to live?
Another problem that many of the teachers are facing is funding within their schools. In Pitt County, some of the teachers will receive a $100 allowance or so, but $100 isn't going to stretch that far, which leaves many of these teachers having to pay for almost everything they need out of pocket.
The UNC District Universities is a collection of public universities in North Carolina that operates on a single governing body. Over the last decade, enrollment in educator preparation programs have been low. To address the teacher shortages, we must encourage more high schoolers and young professionals to become teachers. So the purpose of our study was to learn what values prospective teachers were most interested in, and how can we use that data to advance rural education. We surveyed College of Education students at East Carolina University, and through the 1 month span that we had our survey portal open, we had over 272 participants. The largest field of education at ECU is elementary education. So we were glad to see that the majority of our respondents were elementary education majors. This helps reassure us that our survey data is a great representation of the student population at East Carolina University.
majority of the participants would like to teach at a public school, which is great, but 47% want to teach at a non-public school, such as charter or private. This means that public schools are not recruiting and retaining the amount of teachers that they will need. And this prevents the students from receiving the best quality of education that they can get.
%83% of students were interested in teaching in a low-income school district. These schools often have a large population of students that come from a diverse background. Most educators do not go into the education field for the money. They go into the education field to make a difference. Having good teachers in rural schools allows students to have a figure that can support and nurture them. Prospective teachers are most worried about funding for their classrooms. Teachers fund the majority of their classroom supplies themselves, and this includes science lab equipment, pencils, papers, and any classroom supplies that they want to make learning interactive for their students. They can easily spend up to hundreds of dollars just on classroom and teaching supplies.
Something else they're worried about is working with English as a second language learners. ECU currently does not have any courses that prepare educators for working with these students. So it's understandable that teachers or future teachers will go into this field and be concerned with working with these students, because this creates a barrier between the teacher and the student within the classroom.
The most important value for teachers is support and mentorship throughout the first year of teaching. Rural schools can often provide more one-on-one attention and more one-on-one attention with the school administrative officials. This is very important because as our first year of teaching, we're going to have problems and difficulties with understanding our content and teaching, behavior management, and lesson planning. The next important value for prospective teachers is working with students from a diverse background. Teachers go into the profession to make a difference, and teaching in a rural community will provide them the opportunity to do so. Another important value for teachers is smaller class sizes. The increase in class sizes has been a growing problem in the age of teacher shortages and budget cuts.
Prospective teachers are not as worried about commuting times. Rural communities often do not provide a large selection of housing options for these prospective teachers and incoming workers, and this causes them to have to live farther from their place of employment. And prospective teachers are also the least interested in their amount of salary. Surprising, right? This means they're more focused on the well-being of their students, but when teachers have to pay more for gas due to longer commuting times, this becomes a difficult decision when they have to decide which district do they want to work in.
On average, prospective teachers are willing to drive a maximum of 45 minutes to and from work. This is difficult when there is not a large selection of apartment complexes and areas to live in proximity of the institution of employment.
The majority of teachers stated they were not interested in having a roommate. We described. Yeah. I mean, the district supplied housing was described as you would have your own bedroom and bathroom, but you would have to share common spaces such as a kitchen, maybe a laundry room, and a living room. However, though, 47%, which is 119 out of 255 survey participants, said they were interested in having a roommate. And with this being said, if school districts offered housing, it could create an interest within these rural districts.
So we presented the main findings from our research. So here's the main takeaways. Prospective teachers are not as worried about their salary, and they're more worried about how they're going to fund their classroom. It's important that we provide teachers with classroom supply supplements so that teachers can do engaging activities without the money constraint.
Something else we learned is teachers are not willing to drive long distances to and from work. Our system must invest in affordable and available housing to provide the most optimal work experience.
Enrolling for new teachers in post-secondary education is low than what we have had in the past decade. We must encourage more young people to become teachers. We need to prepare our students with the resources to successfully teach and inspire students in these rural communities. All right, and our contact information is on the screen. On the tables we provided are kind of a summary of all our data with a whole bunch of charts and a little infographic. If you don't want to read all this, the main takeaways are right here in this small little infographic. All right, is there any questions?
Yeah.
So one of the data points that you have, that you showed and it's on your infographic is interesting to me, which is what types of schools are prospective teachers interested in teaching in.
Mm-hmm.
And only 53% in public schools.
Yeah.
Out of your Salem. And I know, at least from my experience, the salaries in charters and a lot of the small privates is actually lower.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering what you could attribute that to.
Something in North Carolina, in these public and charter schools, they have better incentives, benefits, and pay. And you know, they're also able to be more free and flowing within their classrooms. They're not set to as strict of standards as public school teachers are. So that could be what's causing that.
Where is ECU located? Just
It's
as
in Greenville, North Carolina.
Okay, and is that primarily a rural area?
It's
or?
not rural.
We're classified more suburban.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
but we're surrounded by extremely rural areas.
I'm just trying to get a sense of your own student body,
Yeah.
because that matters
Yeah, they
for a
come
study
from
like.
everywhere.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're just blue.
So, yeah.
Got it.
Now, we are going to do a part 2 of our survey. We are going to do a part 2 of our survey where we're going to try to survey some other institutions. So we have kind of like East Carolina universities, but App State, which is in the mountains, which is a more rural school, they may have different perceptions. Or NC State, which is in Wake County, which is one of our big urban counties, they would have different perspectives. So our part 2 of our survey, we are going to work on surveying these other institutions to get their full well-rounded perspective.
And I'll jump in just a little bit. I'm with Isaiah and Taylor from ECU, and ECU, it's an access university, and so even though we are in that blue little county, Pitt County there on the East Coast, and that's kind of suburban, the town itself is large because of the university, but when you go out like 8 miles from campus, it's rural fringe, rural town, and then we get quickly into rural remote. We pull our enrollment for ECU is, we have a high number in the university system, UNC system, of students from rural counties. So the teacher candidates that participated in this particular survey, they are coming from our surrounding, we call it east of 95. 95 kind of cuts through the corridor there. And pretty much all of those counties to the right of that is what's feeding into our particular regional university.
And a part of our survey, we just didn't include on our PowerPoint, we did ask each of the participants what county were they coming from and where would they like to go. That was a part of it. It's just not in the PowerPoint.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else?
Yeah, so I was curious, have you looked at recent graduates, maybe in the last 2 or 3 years, and where they're going? Like where did they end up going?
We haven't yet, just because sometimes it's touchy when we're trying to the college is touchy about giving us information on
Yeah.
contacting previous graduates.
It was a long process.
They're lovingly referring to the IRB process.
So we haven't yet. It's a little difficult to do that.
Got it.
But I think that the university data shows that a great amount of our graduates do stay within our state, particularly within our region.
Within our region, so
Yeah, I believe the majority of our graduates, either teach in our Pitt County, which is the county that East Carolina is in, the same, or the surrounding counties around it.
East Carolina students come and they stay.
Mhm.
For the most part.
So that's part of our research, trying to find out how can we get them away from their comfort levels, because these students here and here, they need good teachers.
I'd be interested to know those 272 participants that y'all spoke of, how many, and then that 53% that prefer, that only want to go to public, what have you. Interested to see where they were. Did they come out of a private or college, private school or a charter or whatever? I mean, it'd be interesting to see how that correlates with where they want to go. I'm curious.
Yeah,
That would be nice.
yeah, we haven't, I don't think we asked them about what school they came from, but that is an interesting, idea to, discuss.
I know that y'all are from you do something with Warren County, you said Warren County, I know you're from Henderson, and like, Henderson has like a private school, and then they've got the charter school, and it pulls kids out of the public, so I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I do know, when I toured Warren County, and he kind of discussed how charter schools are pretty much taking away funds from his high schools, and there's some issues that's arising. He has cut programs like pre-K, some other programs that his, cause Warren County is 99% economically disadvantaged. So those students really need that support and help. So most of the teachers he found there are overseas teachers, because they're having trouble with recruiting teachers.
Anything else?
Just out of curiosity, in your coursework, how much experience do you get in rural schools? And then also, how do you study or learn about rural schools? Maybe if you didn't grow up in a rural school, how do you learn about it?
Well, I'm actually in my practicum right now. I'm in a classroom once a week. You can request to be put out of the county, but most people do request PID. I know for where I'm at EB Acock Middle School. I know that is more of a rural school. It's out of the city. It's more towards itself. And so, like I said, I was there last year. I only had to do a couple days that semester though. Now I'm in there once a week every week. Next semester will be the same, and then my second semester of my senior year, I'll be in there every single day, and I'm hoping to stay at EPA with my practicum and internship.
Yeah, the main problem about when we're doing our practicums is we're taking classes at the same time. Yeah? So it would be nice if we can request to go to some farther counties, but it's hard because a lot of times you gotta pop out and pop back in between classes. Yeah. So a lot of people choose Pitt County because you can go off campus 20 minutes, and then it's like a 20-minute drive compared to like an hour or more.
I'll add to, so you've got a secondary perspective there and a middle grades perspective. From the elementary perspective, we do practicums and field experiences starting from the sophomore year on every semester. And we have supervised practicum blocks where we do take them to Greene County. We go out farther, but because we've adjusted the schedule at the elementary level and coordinated with the other methods classes, folks, we have travel time within there. But that's been a long time in coming to trying to do that as well.
Yeah, there are, we do take a special education class to kind of learn how to educate students of special needs, but that still doesn't include ESL students.
Well, it does actually a little bit, but it was maybe a passing 1-day lesson where we had to, like, a single slide on a PowerPoint.
All right, any other questions?
Can we look at the slide about the commute for teachers?
Yes.
You said, or I was interested to see, I think, is it the majority is 15 to 30 or the majority is 30 to 45 minute commute?
It was the majority was 15 to 30, but I know,
Go ahead.
the other one, it was still pretty large.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, 1530 is the majority, that's 54%, so over half of our participants.
we're willing to travel maximum,
Yeah, about
15 to 30.
Yeah, 15 to 30.
Okay.
But 30%, which is another huge chunk of the survey population, was 30 to 45 minutes.
And as you can see, only 1% was willing to drive over an hour, so.
And the respondents that is driving over an hour may already be doing that.
Like distance education students.
Any other questions?
Alright, well, thank you guys so much.